Got to go. Right, it's Insta360 Ace Bow. Ace Pro.
Ace?
Takes dumps on GoPro's head. Anyway guys, it's Bikework day. So when I went riding at Kenilworth the other day with, ended up being Adam Giles and stuff ended up coming out. They weren't meant to originally, but they ended up coming out, which was eye-opening to ride with them guys. That dude's an absolute animal and worlds away from anything we can do or I can do as far as capability, but it's always good to ride with people like that because you learn so much. But yeah, I definitely slowed them boys down a heap and I ate dirt a lot of times, but one of the times I ate dirt, I thought I cracked the radiator, I did some damage to the radiator, but upon closer inspection, it looks like what it did is just fold the radiator back, and this little bit of hose, it just split it on the bolt cap for the power valve. So there's a little hole in the hose there, which was just leaking some coolant. So I'm hoping just replacing that little bit of hose here, if I could point the camera the right way, replacing this little bit of hose should fix that. It's just 3/4, but unfortunately the whole assembly is crimped, so I just had to cut that with a grinder, cut that crimp off. I'll just use 2 hose clamps and a bit of 3/4 hose and we should be sweet. So I've had a few mates that told me that now would be a good time to remove the thermostat altogether. A lot of people just delete it altogether, delete the thermostat. Personally, I can't see the advantage in doing so. I don't understand what the advantage would be. These things don't run hot. There's obviously no issue with flow because they don't have any issues with heat. That being said, obviously trying to get them up to temp on winter mornings and stuff, it is obviously a great advantage to have the thermostat in place for that. So considering that I plan on riding so much early mornings before work and stuff, quick little hits, quick rides, I figured probably keeping the thermostat's a better idea. I don't understand why people would want to remove it, so I'm not bothering with that. Just a simple replace this hose, and hopefully that's all it was, and I haven't done any damage to this radiator where that's crimped or anything, but I guess I'll find out when it gets hot and starts to pressurize again tomorrow. Also exciting stuff in this video, we have swapped the WR. The WR is going, so I'll show you that later in the video. I was planning on trying to make it like a bit of a surprise for Rex, but trying to work around a few other things that were going on this afternoon, it was all just getting too hard. So Rex knows about it now. It's not a surprise anymore. I was going to make a video like surprising him because I sort of organised it all and didn't tell him, but I ended up having to tell him last night because of all the stuff that's been going on. So try and get this bike ready. All I want to do is fix this hose and I want to turn this double green around. Get the most out of this tyre. I'll turn it around now, make the call while there's still a bit of knob there and some edge on the back side. So I want to turn this tyre around. And then when the new bike gets here that swaps to the WR, we've got some bike work to do to that, but we'll go through that when it gets here. So let's see how this fixes this. Right, guys, we're all back together. Hopefully that's fixed that leak and all sorted. Pulled some pretty questionable stuff out of the front bead of this tyre. This was like stuck in my bead. So must have happened at some point. Anyway, you get that. Anyway, so now I pull the rear wheel off. I'm going to turn this tyre around. Alright, we're turned around, back ready to ride. Just got a bit of clean up, lube the chain, a few other little maintenance things to do, but ready to go for tomorrow. Now these are a directional tyre, so we'll see how it goes, turned around on the sharp edge. It looks like they obviously give you points to maybe get a hot knife in there and recut them, so if for whatever reason turning it around is a problem, can't imagine why it would be, just looking at the tyre. The next one I'll just try, get the hot knife in when I'm ready to get a new edge on it, but for now we'll see how it goes turned around. Yeehaw. Righto, boys and girls, the WR is gone and we've got ourselves a Husky TE300i 22 model, so it's the year before my KTM, but more or less the same bike. Obviously some differences in the KTM group. Husky's got a linkage, KTM doesn't. Husky's got a composite subframe, KTM's got an alloy one. Husky comes with billet triple clamps and pro tapers. KTM comes with cast ones and just cheap bars. Husky comes with DID rims, the KTM comes with cheap rims. So yeah, like Husky is really the boutique of the brand and all their best stuff, whereas the KTM is, I suppose, a step below, and then the gas is a step below again. That's how they work. It's factory on the Husky does come a map switch, where I've had to actually put a TSP one on the KTM so that I've got a map switch. So yeah, a lot of that. Oop, left this quad lock on there, I have to take that back. I'll have to give that back to him. But anyway, we've got a few things we've got to sort out, like I talked about, back tyre. So we're going to double rim lock the back tyre the same way I did the KTM, and we've got a Midas double green there and the 4mm thick tube to go in. So the back rear wheel setup will be the same as my KTM, where it's dual rim lock with a 4mm tube and a Midas double green. Pretty sure it's already geared to 12 and 50, which is awesome because I've already bought a 12 tooth front sprocket so I could gear it the same as mine, because I love that gearing for what we do. It's great. And I've got a spare expansion chamber, because if you actually watch the video of the last time I went riding with Torben, It caved in the expansion chamber there. So that got caved in. So I've got a spare one here, which will go on the bike for now. And then I'll send this one that's caved in to our boy who has a jig, not only to just press or expand them back out, but actually a jig to keep the mounts in the same spot, because it's one thing to actually compress them and heat them up and actually get the dents pulled out, but usually generally they'll always lose their shape unless you have a jig to keep the mounts in the right spot. So yeah, plan to change the pipe over so it's got not that big cave in the pipe, get the rear end sorted with a new tyre, and I've got some new grips there, but we'll just see what we get done tonight. The rest of it can get done tomorrow as we prep. But yeah, getting this ready for a ride Sunday. Stoked that Rex is going to be on a 300 finally and off the 450. You know, for me going from the 450 to that was just night and day. It was just so much better for what we ride, and I'm pretty excited for Rex to pretty much experience the same thing when he gets on this thing. So yeah, awesome. Pretty low hours, lower hours than mine is now. So Rex's bike actually has less hours on it than mine at the moment, and yeah, essentially more or less the same bike, but slight differences. So anyway, we'll start getting the back wheel off. We'll get this tyre done tonight at least, and see how far I get, see how energetic I'm feeling. He's running this really big bash guard that's also a pipe guard, so it's going to have to come off to get the pipe off. So see if I'll get to that tonight, and then yeah, some simple grips and stuff. So while I've got the wheel off and I'm doing the tyre, we'll also do a force disc guard for the rear. I feel like this is a must-have for pretty much what we do, because that can ruin your day pretty quick. Mine's got a forced on it, but it's looking pretty worse for wear these days. It did used to be blue, but yeah, not looking too great this day and age. But yeah, we've got that on there. We'll probably get away with doing our Sunday ride, and then it can go for a service after that. It was running a bit funny when he dropped it off. I'm starting to think maybe we might have an issue with the crankcase pressure sensor, but we'll wait and see how it goes on Sunday when it's properly hot. But if we do find it keeps stumbling and hesitating, that'll probably be where I'll start. But obviously the advantage of having another one right here is we've got spare sensors we can swap out and change and find the problem and fault find it, and just buy the sensor we need. Not that big a deal. So we'll put that on when the new tyre goes on. The only other thing I did buy for the bike, which is not here yet in anticipation, was a thermofan kit. It does not have a thermofan on it yet. So I bought one for the bike. It unfortunately did not arrive in time for this weekend. So this weekend it's going to have to happen without the fan. We'll see how Rex goes. We'll see how the bike goes. We'll just make the call when we get to certain spots whether he wants to go and attempt, you know, some of the hard enduro sections. If he does, sweet. I can't see it being too much of a problem. A lot of them sections we've got out here, I've taken people through without thermofans, without a drummer before. But obviously for the long run and what we're trying to do, thermofan is basically a must. So it's on the way, just not here yet. Anyway, I'll get into this because I'm running out of time. Rightio guys, working through it, about out of time for tonight, but we've got our double green on and our double rim lock. So we're all happy days there. Rear tyre sorted. Now I counted the teeth on the front sprocket. It is a 13, not a 12. So we'll want to change that tomorrow, so I'll tighten the chain up when I change that tomorrow, but ran out of time. So got the pipe changed over, so this is our big caved in dog. So he'll go in the pile to get blown back out. I'm going to make that blows them out for us. And we got one here that I borrowed off Jake, which will get us through until that one's blown out and we can swap them back over with him, or he can have that one when it's blown out. 6.5 a dozen, doesn't make a difference, but we've got a pipe that's not all caved in for Rex. So pipe's good. As you can see, sticking it up a little bit. Got a look in the part. Yeehaw. Bit of our business plug on there. So didn't get time to do grips and haven't had time to do that sprocket. This disc guard I really like. It's actually a bit different to mine. I thought it was the same, but it's actually quite different in that it completely replaces the actual mount for the caliper. So the mount for the caliper is now onto the disc guard, which just extends down past the disc, which protects the disc. It's really, really cool. I really like the design. When I finally come time to replace my very bruised and battered and broken one, I'll probably get one of those. But anyway, it's all coming along awesome. Because I had to take the big old bash plate off to get the pipe replaced anyway, I did decide just to service it, because you got to pull that off to service it anyway. So while it was off, I just gave it a quick service. It doesn't take long. Had the oil there. So it's been serviced now, so we're good for another 10 hours. Yeah, happy days for now for like another 10 hours. So Anyway, I'm out of time. I've got to load up my bike, get it home, so that I can take this home tomorrow after I complete a few of the final little things to do tomorrow. But man, I'm keen for us to go for a ride together on these things. It's going to be really cool. So I'm going to load up, get ready to go, and I'll come back and resume this in the morning. Look at that. Amazing what difference my little after wash routine makes. Just a bit of wash and wax, bit of tire shine, bit of WD-40, and just makes such a difference. Anyway, fresh grips are on. We've got ourselves our 12 and 50 gearing. We're pretty much ready to go for a ride tomorrow. So I set up the deal as a bit of a surprise to him. Like I said, didn't end up being a surprise, but it was his birthday last week, so there's a few things. I got him a bit of motocross gear for his birthday. I bought him the disc guard and the grips and the tube and tire and stuff, and double rim locked and that. So basically I got him the rear disc lock because that's disc guard, because that'll really ruin your day in the stuff that we ride. But everything else, like what I've got on my bike, as far as like the front disc guard, the swing arm protectors, all of those other little protection bits, I'm just going to leave them up to him from here on. I couldn't afford to spend too much more money. It's up to him now what he wants to spend money protecting and stuff like that. But I figured the fan which I purchased and that disc guard, they were just two things where I felt they were pretty necessary, so I got them for him as part of the deal as well. But anyway, hopefully that fan's not here in too long, but I still think this thing will be alright tomorrow. But yeah, happy days. Cool to own another one. Cool to own a Husky and actually, in my position, be able to have a ride of both and just see what the difference is like. I reckon that's going to be cool as well. Yeah, excited about it. Alright, tyres are all checked and sorted, and I made another little grab handle out of the same old sling that I made one for the KTM out of, so it's probably could have just been a tad bit longer, but maybe it'll stretch. I don't know. But don't want them too long because then you get caught on stuff. But nice handy little tool for nothing, and most people want 30 bucks or so for them. So. Yeehaw, anyway, she's good to go. Start it up, warm it up again, just double check the coolant. And then we'll chuck it in the bus. Should be ready for tomorrow. Alright guys, what an absolute debacle we've just had, but the Husky was still just running like a dog, and it was just gonna not be very nice to ride it the way it was. And like I said, I had my suspicions about the crank pressure sensor the whole time. And basically the way these TPI bikes, you got a crank pressure sensor and an ambient air sensor, and they're the same sensor, but the crank pressure sensor is much more vital for relaying the information that you see in nudes than the ambient pressure sensor. So a quick fix to diagnose them and to fix them in the meantime is to swap those two sensors over, because they're exactly the same. So you just move them, plug them back in, and you're all sweet. They're a bit of a pain to get to, and in the process of trying to move them over, the ambient temperature sensor, which is you know, ideally what was supposed to be the good one, and trying to install that where the crankcase pressure sensor normally goes, I actually broke the barb off the sensor, and I was livid. Couldn't manage to glue the barb back on, couldn't really do anything about it. And it was just at a point where I was like, if I've just sacrificed my whole Friday and Saturday, all for all of that sacrifice to go to the fact that we couldn't even go riding tomorrow, I would have smashed something. I was that freaking mad. So all I could really think about doing was bringing it home. So I literally brought it home in pieces. I chucked it all in the van, just tossed all the parts in there. Tank was off, everything was off. I brought it home. I grabbed the ambient temperature sensor off my bike, the Kato, and I used that ambient sensor for Rex's crankcase pressure sensor. And then I used the one that I broke the barb off. I put that back in Rex's ambient pressure sensor, because that's where it came from. But I figured, being ambient, it's not going to be a huge deal that the barb's gone. Worst case, you get some stuff in the sensor, but I don't even know if that sensor's working very well. I tried to super glue the barb back on. I think super glue got in the sensor, so honestly I don't even think the ambient air temperature sensor's working that well, or ambient air pressure. I don't think it's doing a very good job, so we'll probably replace both of them, to be honest. It's expensive, but they need to be done. But either way, and then I put the faulty crankcase pressure sensor out of the Husky in my ambient pressure sensor in my KTM. So that is fixed it. The Husky's now running properly. Both of them are obviously going to run probably not as good as they should, because at this stage I don't think the ambient air pressure sensor in either bike is working properly. But at least both bikes have working crankcase pressure sensors, so we can at least ride tomorrow. which means that all of my work for the past 2 days hasn't been for nothing. So at least that gets us out of trouble for tomorrow, but we are going to have to order a couple of new sensors to replace. So probably order 3, replace both sensors in the Husky, replace the ambient in the KTM because we know it's not very good. Might order 4 so that we've got a spare, considering we're running both bikes. It probably won't be a bad idea to have a spare, considering this is a pretty known issue with the TPI bikes. So anyway, that's what we're up to, but managed to get it sorted, which I'm glad. It's 6:15, we're going riding tomorrow. So Rex better friggin' be here on time to be ready to go riding, or I'm going to be friggin' livid after all the effort I've gone to get his bike ready and not been able to spend time doing what I want to do. So anyway, we'll see how tomorrow goes. I'm excited.